See this little water hole behind me? That's all that's left of it. We had pretty good moisture this summer and had a few dry months on the calendar year, but been a better year than what we've had in many years past. But you can still see the banks of this thing. It's way low. So if you listen here, you'll be able to hear something coming. Here it is, flowing down the bank here. It will eventually make it into this pond. And come springtime, come summer, the cows will enjoy a little fresh water there as well. And you can see I've got it coming down here. Probably won't ever get this pond full, but I've got a water line running to it. And hopefully it'll be a lot better drinking than what the wildlife and the cattle will have right there. About 350 foot of water line right here, getting some water transferred to the pond. You can see the pond is growing, filling up a little bit here. Still got a long ways to go. You can see the banks all over this place. It could fill up, I don't know, 100 times more than what it is to get it completely full, but wildlife will enjoy it a lot more the way it is today as opposed to a few days ago. And springtime, the cows will enjoy it as well. See this little... Looks like I got a couple in the live chat so far. Michael Boyd Outdoors, hello, how you doing? And Rob Sims, glad you both made it. Might be more. The first time I tried this, I unfortunately had it in private mode rather than open to the public. There's Bodie Fenton, good to see you. Hope you had a good Christmas party, Bodie. I've got a pretty good show lined up tonight. If you didn't catch that intro, I'm going to go ahead and restart that intro, but I'm going to kill the audio. Water hole behind me? Other than me. I can talk us through that. See this little pond right there? Pretty much dried up. Hello there, Cannon. Glad to see you here. Pond is pretty much dried up. This was in the intro, but give me about a minute. Let a few more people join in here, and then we'll take off. Hello, Rick. I'm glad you're well enough to watch the screen and do some typing, Rick. Pond, low. I run about 350 foot of water hose and got some water going into the pond here. As you can see, it was just about dry. Right now, it's just serving for the wildlife. This was about a little more than 48 hours ago. It was in the afternoon / evening, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, so about 50 hours, 52 hours ago. You see there I had the water going, and that was, like I say, that was Monday evening about 4:30 that I got the water going. Here we go. I'm fixing to switch, and it'll be an update. That's what it looked like today. This pond is way low. You guys know we had some pretty decent moisture here this year in compared to the last two, but you can see just how far water is down. So I've got some water going in there. Hopefully the wildlife will enjoy it throughout the winter months, and come springtime, I'll have cattle there on that farm. So once again, thanks everybody for joining. I've got lots of deer to show you. Some local folks took some nice ones. What's my flow rate right there, Rob? Going in there, it's 3/4 inch hose. It's just a 1 horsepower pump. I would have to check that, but I'm going to guess 8 to 10 gallon a minute is all that I'm putting in. It's definitely coming out more than those solar panels would, but it's on a 110 volt pump, 350 foot. That is the farthest pond of the two. There's a closer one, but I was going to work on getting some water in that one first, and then the other pond I've got to go in and do a little bit of cleaning out. There's some junk in the bottom of it. It's just about as dry as the first one was, but I want to get that thing cleaned out. I need to take my tractor over and some rubber boots, get things cleaned out of it, and start over. But I've got quite a few deer to show again tonight, some local deer. Probably the highlight of tonight, in my opinion, is going to be a young man here in the area who started a YouTube channel this last year. Jared Moore's his name. I've watched him, I've helped him just a little bit, give him a little bit of advice with cameras, showed him how my drones work. He's got him a drone now too, and he's having a blast with his kids out in the timber, but I'll show you a short clip. I clipped some of his videos with his permission. He told me he's only got a couple of them out on YouTube so far, but he's been sharing them on Facebook. But it is Jared Moore. He told me over Christmas he's going to spend some time uploading several to Facebook, but I want to show you a little bit of his fun. We're going to talk about cattle, the livestock reports from a few different sale barns. I want to show you a little bit of my rye that I've got. I'm going to go ahead and start on that rye. If you look horizontally across that screen, about every 35, 40 foot, you'll see there is a, yes, Rick, that is Arthur's son. You'll see, I'm sorry, Rick, that is Arthur Moore's son. And in the video you're going to see later, Tommy Moore's son is also in it, both right here from the local area. You'll see horizontally, starting at the bottom of the screen, going from left to right, those areas where the green is a little bit taller, almost half again taller. And the farther you go, it just looks like small waves out there going up the edges of that incline of that hill. But whenever I was putting on fertilizer this year, I could see that some of the fertilizer looked really heavy in some spots. And what it was doing was right there at the fertilizer spreader, I couldn't get it figured out. Talked to the people at the co-op. They couldn't figure it out either, but they told me to just keep it going. I said, man, I'm probably putting like 400 pounds to the acre on, and in just a area this big. And I said, I'm shooting for about 100 pounds over a 35 to 40 foot swath. The biggest part of it's going right here. So they told me they would adjust my fertilizer price to make up for it. You get about 8,000 pounds of fertilizer per load, and at $600 or so a ton. You sure don't want it to all go on like that, but it, you know, I shortened up my field a little bit there on what I got on the rest of it because it was going on a path about that big, but you can sure tell a difference. I'm going to get going here, started talking about the deer. We'll go ladies first. This is Lacey Schultes, big Oklahoma buck. Lacey most of the time hunts in Major County, and once again, year after year, Lacey takes a nice buck. This is her husband, Dustin Schultes. Dustin and I grew up together. Dustin loves to hunt just as much as I do, and he said that he knew Lacey's buck was bigger than his. Nobody needed to bring it up, but I guarantee you he's happy for his wife Lacey that she got her a nice one. Also got one here from Jamie Atkinson there at Ringwood. She said this was her first buck with a bow, and I believe that was in one of the gun seasons. That's why she's got the orange on. Here in Oklahoma, you're required to wear either a head garment or a top like she's got on there if it's a gun season and you're bow hunting. If you're gun hunting, you're supposed to wear both. So nice 8-point there for Jamie. If you guys remember last week, probably the biggest deer I showed, it was Mike Burge, and that is, one side was a little lopsided, one side was absolutely huge. Buck had 19 points, and one well of a deer that Mike Burge got. But Jamie is Mike's daughter. Here we've got Lexi Noggle. I believe Lexi lives at Lahoma. She said, and you can see the smile on her face, she was happy as could be there. I asked her what she was using and how far away. I believe she told me 70 yards, and it was a 6.5 there. Nice buck for Lexi Noggle. One to be smiling about for sure. I'm going to read one of these comments here. I see Lacey looks. That come from Michael. Probably meant Lacey looks happy. There's Lacey and Lexi both. And Cannon says you played baseball with Mr. Jared Moore and his son Joseph. All right, Cannon, you know who it is. Well, Cannon, I really enjoy what I'm going to show here just a little bit later with Jared Moore, and he has fun with his kids. You know, as soon as you just typed that, it made me think I forgot to upload his daughter's deer. But his daughter, it might be Cannon. You might know her name. Is it Lula? Lola is what it is. She got a nice buck. It's on one of his videos also. And Cannon, tell me if you know this guy right here. 6 point, right there. Hello there, Mark. Glad to have you in here, lucky dog. Mark connected last week on a big one. We'll show that in here in just a little bit as well. Lacey looks small, or that buck is huge. That is correct, Michael Boyd. So Cannon, he's on here. This is his uncle, Blake Edwards. 6-point, mainframe 6-point buck. I don't see anything else there to him. And here's another view of that buck for Blake. His dad told me, not Blake's dad, Cannon's dad told me that Blake was going to get some extra cookies for shooting that buck. You know, I'm not going to start the whether we should cull bucks or not. Shoot what makes you happy. The older we can let those bucks go, they're all going to have bigger racks, you know. They do not stay spikes from their first set of antlers. They do not stay yearling 4 points or 6 points. And they generally get bigger with age, folks. That buck was one that they had on camera for a few years. He was just a 6-pointer. Like I said to him, and like they both believed as well, Garrett and Blake are cousins. You take a buck like that out that's not producing a huge set of antlers, limited number of points, kind of like the ones that I took out this year, you are allowing maybe a young 8 or a 10 point to continue eating some of those groceries that are growing on that farm rather than that buck. And I'm all for it. You know, we can't tell that when they're a year old. Probably can't tell it when they're 2, but when they're 3, 4, 5, you know what? We might not improve the herd. We don't have enough acres to do it, but we can decide which deer is going to have the chance to stay on our farm and have good groceries. Rob Sims said some really nice bucks. Yes, it is. Jared Moore, glad to see you in here. That's the Jared I've been talking about. Go check out his YouTube channel. I know he's just got a few videos out more right now. There will be more coming. I want to show another young man here, Connor Gregory. He spent quite a bit of time in my house growing up. Outstanding young man. He's in veterinary school right now. And Connor was able to come home and do a little bit of archery hunting. Took that nice buck. I can see 10 points from here, plus a little kicker over there on the right side, at least 11 point. Connor didn't tell me how many points he was, but he told me he come in all bristled up, hair puffed out, got him excited. He let an arrow fly and made a good shot on it. One thing Connor told me he was happy about, he tried to send me a video, and sometimes I've got a Samsung phone, and if somebody tries to send me a video through just text message, comes through a little bitty, and sometimes I can't see anything at all. So if you ever want to send me something, send it like that through Facebook Messenger, or create something on YouTube, a link, and I can get it and reshare it. Going on down here, there is Mark Munkers's buck, 11-point buck that he got last week. Mark tried to video that with one of my cameras, and unfortunately, the camera got too cold and shut off. So, but that still is a nice buck that Mark got there. Now, speaking of cameras, this is not the type that Mark was using. But if any of you folks are watching, wondering, hey, I've watched some of Justin's videos, I wonder what he uses. So, these screens, they turn all the way around. This one is a Sony 6705, I believe is what the numbers are on it. Sony 675, I'm sorry. So they've got up here on the top, you can zoom in with them, zoom in, zoom out. Audio on these, I don't know how loud I'm coming through right here on the screen, but audio on these, I always have to tone it down to like 20% because they pick up great audio. That's one version of it. Here is the Sony 405, a little bit smaller. You can pick these things up at a pawn shop for usually less than a couple $100. I think I was $325 right here. It's about a $600, $700 unit new. And this one right here is $350 to $400 new. It's a Sony 405. They actually do an excellent job on the quality as long as we're not in that last 5 to 10 minutes of shooting light. Pretty cheap little investment. And then I use GoPros on a camera that's, say, like here to my left or here to my right, that will capture what's going on in the stand. You can get those GoPros for about $400 brand new, or you can get one for in the range in $180 to $200 at a pawn shop. And folks, don't be scared to turn them on at the pawn shop. Make sure they work. The pawn shop people, they want to get rid of them, and they want to know that you're happy with what you got. So I've been able to come across some good deals. I've got 3 different cameras like this. I usually take 2 with me, one for my right hand side, one for my left, and I've got a smaller GoPro set up as I'm filming some of my hunts or filming some of my fishing trips that I go on as well. I want to get on over here to Jared Moore, the YouTube guy that he's got some videos out on Facebook, and I tell you what, he's doing an outstanding job. I'm not gonna show you his bucks. Jared's commenting here, GoPro 9 are the best bang for the buck. Jared, that's what I've got. I've got 2 of them. They're called they are the GoPro 9. So these things only zoom in to about 2 power. So it's like I loaned one of these to Mark, and the temperature was about 23 degrees. He turned it on whenever his buck came out, and unfortunately, it did not get the shot. It filmed for about a minute, and then seems like it might have been a minute and 19 seconds that it was on, and then it went off. These things are easy to turn on from the stand. It's just a quick touch of the top right there. This one's battery's probably dead. Nope, there it is. It usually takes a couple seconds to turn on, so you can see from the front side of the screen, or you can see from the rear side, either way. My screen stays on for about, I've either got them on for a minute or 2 minutes. All you got to do to turn them off, one button right there, and it takes a couple of seconds. So you see it powers on, powers off. Those are my GoPro, and like Jared Moore commented there, GoPro 9 are the best bang for the buck. I give $200 for one of mine, give $180 for the other. They were both at pawn shops. I know they both cost more than that. Michael says he's thinking about getting a 360 camera. DJI seems to have great reviews and battery life compared to GoPro and Instapro. So speaking of battery life right here, about 90 minutes, if they are not, about 90 minutes, if it's not terribly cold weather, is what I'll get out of one battery. You can pop that battery out. If you've got a little portable charger like you'd charge your phone, I've plugged those in. It keeps them a little bit warmer, and it keeps those batteries from going dead just because they're getting a charge while you're out there in the deer stand sometimes. And I just forgot to let Mark know that. Michael says he's thinking about getting a 360. I have not tried one myself, but I hope it works great, Michael. And I hope you get. Michael was up here doing some hunting. I sent one of my cameras with him. He filmed some different bucks and does, and I know Michael's got some cameras of his own. But folks, it puts such a different level in me, anyways. Whenever I'm out there hunting, using a camera, trying to record everything, and I will not shoot one unless I think it is in the screen. When you're watching deer, sometimes they move out of the screen. And I've got a new video coming. It ought to be out in a couple days. I hope you guys really enjoy it. Jared says I'm more than welcome to show the bucks if I want. Jared, I'm going to just show the fun you guys were having and the preparation. And hopefully they'll step on over to your channel and take a look at your bucks. I don't know how anybody else feels, but sometimes the video's worth way more than the bucks that are in it. Cannon says, someone has a 360 camera and it works really nice, Michael. Here we're going to go with Jared. I'm going to shut up. I'm going to let you listen to Jared and his cousin Garrett here. It's about a minute long, and all I did was steal some clips from him. So here you go.
All right, Garrett's here.
Howdy, everybody.
He's in Old Drummond, so.
Oh, yeah.
It is November 28th, and.
Keep this short and sweet. We've got Garrett's 10 point that we're after out there. He's 500 bedded down. We decided to get in here early. Something told us to. And he's out there 500 yards, and it's blowing up 25 mile an hour winds, and we might have one shot at this guy. I don't know but if he comes up broadside, we're ready. 500 yards, and we're gonna take the shot.
You just dropped him. Yeah! Woo! Woo! Woo, baby!
We can get it done. We can get it done.
He dropped. Woo!
Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed that half as much as me. Those times like that in the deer stand, you can see I'm smiling big right now, but those are great memories. I'm glad you were able to capture that, Jared. You tell Garrett if you're booked up and can't take him, I want to take that guy. That's the type of fun I want to have in the deer stand. And you guys might have been able to hear there, Jared was, as they were giving one another a hug and the excitement was going on, that deer was out there 500 yards. Okay, well, Jared was like, we could still get a doe. So Jared was kind of trying to make sure Garrett didn't hoop and holler too much in hopes that a doe would come in. But that was absolutely awesome. And yes, Michael, as you said there, you've got to watch the whole video. And it's not just, I tell you what, that one right there might be one of my favorites that Jared Moore has put out. But he has done so well with his kids. He's got a boy named Joseph and a young lady, Lola. I think I'm wrong. I might be wrong. I've watched them both take nice deer, and he loves his kids and loves spending time with that camera. And I love watching it. So thanks a lot, Jared, for allowing me to share that. I'll be getting tips from Jared one of these days. He does a fantastic job with it. I sold some cattle yesterday. I'm going to read Jared's comment first. It was amazing. I'm uploading it now on your page. Good. Lola, that's your daughter's name. I have trouble with that. I sold some cattle yesterday at OKC West. I want to tell you guys they were not the cream of the crop. Okay, they were nice cattle, but they just were not the best ones I have. I had already pulled off the heifers that I had interest in breeding, and I had turned out my steers that were in that 500 to 600 pound range. So I had these two little weaned bull calves. They'll be the last ones, but I'm going to show you some heifers here. I had called and told them I figured they'd weigh somewhere from 3.5 to 600, and you can hear the audio here. There's 4 in the ring right there. Over to the left-hand side of your screen, it's going to show the average weight and the head count. Right underneath the green, 4 head, 360 pounds. And you can hear the auctioneer going here. I think they brought 460 or 470 a pound on those. And here is the next two in the ring. They weighed 5 1/4. I can't hear the audio on my end, but my memory tells me they brought less than $4 a pound. Yeah, there it is, 370. Here's the next two in the ring. They were the largest two that I had. You can see they weighed 715. I think they ended up bringing in that 312 or 315 mark, somewhere in there. That's $315 for every 100 pounds they weigh. So the 715 pounders puts it right up in the $2,200 range. Those smaller cattle were in the $1,900 range. And here comes the two small steer calves. They weighed 343. Like I said, the bigger brothers all weighed 500 to 600, and they're all turned out on the rye. And these little fellers here brought around $450 a pound, if I remember right. Just shy of $1,800 a head there on those. These calves had been weaned. Actually, they'd been weaned close to 60 days. They're starting back over on the heifers. Those calves had been weaned 60 days. October the 7th or 8th is whenever I pulled them in. They come off a couple different pastures and just didn't quite fit everything that I wanted to keep for breeding purposes. And then some of those steers were a little bit smaller. But I did take them to the sale. You kind of see what they brought. Now, the auctioneer, he did announce that they were weaned. He didn't announce what shots they had and didn't announce how long they had been weaned. That might have helped me just a little bit, but I'm still not upset with the price. Could have been a little bit better, but sure could have been worse. The market has gained back about 30 cents a pound, maybe 40 cents a pound, but after President Trump said some of his comments, we took a 60 or 70 cent loss there. So Cannon says, what a smile on his face. 500-yard shot by Rick. Congratulations. Yes, I've never even thought about shooting that far, Rick. I've shot some at 400 with a 25-06. They were does. I haven't got to. Well, I don't even practice that far, So that is a great shot by Garrett Moore and a great time had by Garrett and Jared in the stand. I want to show you some prices right here. 381 pounders. They're at the top. This was at OKC West. Bring $5.90 a pound. Now remember, mine weighed around 340 and they brought $4.50 a pound. So those cattle right there bring $500 more than what mine did, and they were basically the same weight. There was 22 head of them. That always helps when they're in a larger group. And then we can work our way on down. There's some bring $6.20 a pound, been weaned 150 days, weighed 408. I'm going to skip down about middle of the range. 443 pounders, says Bundy, 26 head, and they were red in color, bring $555. So all of those cattle right in through there are bringing in that $2,500 range for that 450 pound to 500 pound range. Work our way down. There's some 900 pounders, bring $336 a pound. They might have bring $360 back there before the market come down, but a few weeks ago they might not have brought $3 a pound. So definitely have a better market yesterday than what we did a few weeks ago. I know some of you are just buying your meat at the grocery store and you might be tired of high-priced beef, but I got to say, as a farmer, if I was making a killing every year, I wouldn't be buying used cameras to record these videos, and I wouldn't be buying $600 or $700 brand new and buying them for $300 at a pawn shop. I'd probably be buying a couple $1,000 ones. So we've been able to get by on this farming, but it has not been a bed of roses. We see pickups that I bought two pickups in 2013. They cost $28,400 and $28,500. They were work pickups. They weren't the fanciest, but now it costs $60,000-$70,000 for those same trucks. And these cattle that we were selling, or these cattle that we're selling today, yes, they're higher, but man, we've got to have high cattle in order for the farmer to be able to upgrade any time in life. They don't give tractors away. They don't give parts away. They don't give vehicles away. And fertilizer, what used to cost us $200, a lot of the time costs $600, $700, $800, $900, depending on what we're getting. If you're reading the comments there, Jared Moore says it was a 6.5 PRC. Is that the player of the week, Jared? I want to show you here on some OKC West heifers. 500 pounders bring $470 right there. That's pretty stinking good. 576 pounders bring $380. I think mine that weighed 5 1/4 brought $360 possibly. I get to looking at all these numbers and I get just a little bit confused. But once again, there was 36 head of them. They did announce that they were 55 days weaned right there. That's the Nichols cattle. Get on down here towards the very bottom. 732 pounders bring $335 a pound. So for 100 pounds of those, $335.35. Take that times 732. Probably going to be up there in the $2,400 range, I believe. 3 times 7 is 21, and then you got, it's going to be in that $2,300 to $2,400 range for those 7-weight heifers. Fairview Livestock, not too far from home right here. Fairview has these special cow sales. I'm not going to read every one of these prices, but I want you to know he's highlighted a few right here in green. I'm going to read what they are. First one, bottom left in the green, 4 to 6 months bred, 31 blacks. I think it says 31 blacks. They were 3 years old, 4 to 6 months bred, bring $4,550 a head. Go over to the middle column. 10. They're black, 3 to 4 year olds that were heavy bred, bring $4,900 a head. Go over to the right hand column. These are the pairs. Looks like it says 6. It might say 8. The lettering's pretty small for me to read. Black 3-year-old pairs, $5,600 a head, or for a pair. So the cow market, high demand for livestock folks. As I mentioned, the prices, remember this. The numbers that all the fires that have happened throughout years past out here in the western portion of the state, Kansas, New Mexico, Colorado, and a lot of it's happened right here in Oklahoma. When those fires happen, it takes years to get their pastures back the way they need them. Some people have lost, I'm going to say hellish, because I believe that's a good word for it, hellish numbers of cows that have died. Sometimes the government comes in and reimburses people a portion of those. Sometimes they don't. I hear that cattle numbers are down about 4% this year compared to how they were. Your dad wants to know how many you bought of those cows. Cannon, tell him that I couldn't buy any. That's why I had to sell some of mine that I just sold. I've got property taxes due. I've got insurance due, and I've got a couple of farms that I got to pay rent on here coming up. I got to come up with a little bit over $10,000 worth of rent money here January the 1st, and I got property taxes and insurance due here right around Christmas time. So I didn't buy any of those cows, but I'd love to have been on the selling end, Cannon. But the cow numbers are lower than they have probably been in my lifetime. That's one more reason that beef is high. You're probably not going to see it get much cheaper in the grocery store. The packers make more money than we as producers do, and the grocery stores make money too. I'm a betting that everybody is used to paying a little bit extra for everything from sneakers to vehicles to our hunting equipment and everything there. I'm going to go through these deer one more time real quick. For some of you who might have just been joining, if you joined late, there's Lacey Schultes with her big buck, Dustin Schultes with his big buck, Lexi Noggle with her big buck, and I do love that smile she's got going right there. She shot it with the 6.5. Jamie Atkinson got her buck with the crossbow. Blake Edwards took his 6-point mainframe buck there. Connor Gregory looks like about 11 points right there to me, and Mark Munkris got his 11 point as well. I'm going to go right back over to that intro video here, and this was me on the pond. This is a pond that is nearly dry. I'm just running some water in it. I will start putting cattle on this place in the spring. There's about 60 or 70 acres of timber and grass, and the rest is cropland and grass. But just getting some water, better water source for them. There is a water tank as well that I will have a float on. I'll have the overflow running right down here to this pond. Hopefully we get some good spring rains to help fill things back up. I'm not the only guy in the country that ponds are low. And if we're not running water in them, a lot of them are dry. I'm going to read a few of these comments that I might have missed. And I've been 30 minutes in. I like to keep these weekly videos to around 30 to 40 minutes. I don't think that I missed anybody's comments. Michael, always nice to have you in here. Jared Moore, thanks for joining. And I hope you get some more subscribers on your YouTube channel by me showing that. Once again, does a great job. Rob Sims, thanks for checking in here. Cannon with a cow showing, thanks for getting in here. And Rick Hicks, man, I hope you get healed up. Shoulder surgery doesn't sound like any fun, but I hope they took good care of you, and I hope you get back to where you can be shooting your guns before long, Rick. Rob Sims had asked about the flow rate. Looks like I've answered all the questions. If you guys don't mind, you can always hit that share button. You can forward it to somebody who's a fellow hunter, outdoorsman, who's maybe got a little bit of love for the outdoors and wildlife and cattle and ranching as well. It's free to share. It's free to hit that thumbs up. And it's free to subscribe. If you guys haven't subscribed, please do so. Rick says you're in pain. I can only imagine, Rick. I hope you're able to heal up well, and I hope that pain is limited. One more week here. Let's see, December the 10th today. I've got a butcher steer going tomorrow. The way talking about beef, the way these butcher steers or heifers go, you take them to a butcher. Right now, they're worth around $3.50 to $4 a pound per hanging weight. Take them into the butcher. Say I've got one sold. Let's say Rick Hicks. The only way to heal his pain on that shoulder was to eat more beef. And Rick wanted to buy a half a beef. I take him to the butcher. You guys pay me, let's say $3.50 to $4 a pound for the hanging weight, whatever the market is at that time. You get your half a beef, you get your quarter of beef, whatever it is that you're buying from me. And it doesn't have to be from me. I'm just using me as an example. Could be anybody. Support your local farmers, folks. They're able to haul that beef into the market to the butcher for you. It's cheaper for you to buy it that way. The farmer makes a little bit more money than taking it to the sale barn also. And we cut out that packer. You do have a processing fee. Around $1 to $1.25 per pound of beef. But by the time you get that beef back, you've usually got around $6 a pound in it. And that's for steaks, that's for roast, that's for ground, that's for everything. And I don't know, you guys might tell me in the comments how many of you are buying beef for less than $6 a pound right now at the grocery store that is just ground beef. And mine usually cuts in the about 85% is meat and about 15% is fat. You can have them add fat to it. If you're going to McDonald's buying a cheeseburger, it's usually 80-20. We don't ever add anything to ours. We just do it's usually about 85-15 on the ground mix of hamburger that we get. But I'm taking one tomorrow. It is already spoken for, so I won't have one for sale for many months or for a few months here. But I'm not the only guy in the country who does it. If you want to fill your freezer up, don't hesitate to ask your local farmers in the area. They could probably help them and help you out as well. David Eckert just joining in here. It looks like happy Thanksgiving. Have a blessed Christmas coming up. That's right. You just eat deer burger, Rick. All right. Well, that's good too. And like I've told you guys on here before, my wife does not eat beef. Unfortunately, she became allergic to it in the last few years. So Carter and I are the only two guys here in the household anymore who eats beef consistently. But my wife mixes blue and gold sausage and deer together, cooks it about 50-50, and we eat it just like we're eating beef. So, and we like deer too, just plain, but my wife, she likes mixing the pork with it, so we do it as well. We got one more week, I believe, before Christmas. And if I was to do a show on the Wednesday before Christmas, I think we'd be right almost to Christmas. So I probably won't do it that week of Christmas unless I move it up in the week. Keep sending me some buck pictures, some short video clips if you want. 3doutdoor@gmail.com will get it to me. And we'll go from there. But thanks again, everybody. Have a blessed week. And appreciate you hanging out here with me for a little bit. Hope you enjoyed.